Adumo Adum Arakwa. Believers all the way. Philadelphia. Adeshekunkuno. Yes, Adeshekunkuno indeed. Beloved, partakers of the heavenly calling, you are once again welcome to yet another edition of the summary of the sermon being delivered by Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, today at Pokwase Katapo on the prayer service. Without much ado, I will first extend great greetings to our viewers, those watching us on Second Chance TV, those on our various social media handles, and also to our cherished viewers on our BWC mobile app. Not forgetting our wonderful listeners who are also listening to us from our various FM stations scattered across the whole country. I say to you all, Yehoah unshiramu, Yehoah onkamu. Now, may we proceed to what transpired. Stephen Adum Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, today entered with his usual smiles and acknowledged all protocols present and afar. Right after that, he assured us that we are in a moment, we are in a season where we are supposed to be getting our testimonies, simply because we are being hoovered, we are being covered by the Holy Spirit power. It is moving all around us. So this is a moment that we are to expect nothing but testimonies upon testimonies. Right after this, he went straight and gave a strong caution, a strong warning to some volunteers, to some ushers, to some members in the Philadelphia movement. We are all aware that he personally has service with us, both in Accra and Kumasi. He personally has service with us on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, whilst the others have the opportunity to enjoy behind their televisions, those and some on social media. But we who are privileged, we who have the opportunity to be able to have a personal interaction, sit in front of him to enjoy the service. Some of us have adapted some wrong means, some dubious means of lifestyle, some dubious lifestyle which is not helping. So today he sent out a strong warning to all members, to all Philadelphians, to the ushers who are engaged in such act. And what is the act? Some people come in early just to secure seats. They come in early to secure seats for those who are not yet in. And what they do is, the most abhorrent thing they do is that they sell these seats to those who come in late. Stephen, the voice of God, since time immemorial, has been the only and the sole provider, the sole person who has been spending on every single thing in this ministry. He has been buying all the chairs. Everything which goes on in this movement is from his own personal pocket. Yet, he doesn't seek for anything for himself, but our salvation. However, some of us think we are too smart, and we are disrespecting the prophet of God, the voice of God. We think we are too smart and outwit people. We want to outwit people. We want to make ourselves rich. But we don't care about the work of God. So today, a strong warning came to some of us, to all of us, we who are engaged in those acts, that we are to desist from those acts. Otherwise, in the end, we will all give our own judgments. We will all be judged according to our works. And if care is not taken, what happened in the days of Ananias and the apostles will be repeated. We shouldn't wait for such things to be coming, to be happening, before some of outsiders begin to blame, or some outsiders begin to put the blame that maybe is some sort of ritual. No. But we should desist from our wrongdoings, because our wrongdoings will definitely bring us a wrong. So he admonished, he advised that we refrain from these acts. Members in Kumasi and in Accra, we should refrain from such acts. Ushers in Kumasi and Accra, desist from such acts, and rather let the first person have a seat to sit on. And as they come, they sit in that order. But don't and don't again be taking money from securing seats for others. This was the word of caution. This was the word of advice to all of us, that we should desist from such. And to those who also pay the money, to those who are willing to pay those monies that they take from you, he says you are to repent, because you are encouraging sin. As such, you also have your own punishment. So make sure you repent from your evil ways. Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, began with today's sermon. And he said, as we can all recall, last Sunday was meant for question and answers on the sermon that he gave throughout this Easter. So people were able to bring in their questions, but they weren't enough. Others were even disturbing him on his personal phone after the service, trying to ask their questions. Some even extended to the Learn from the Prophet show and were trying to bring in their questions, which wasn't also analyst, but by only the voice of God. So he has given us yet another opportunity. That coming this Sunday, we can help by sending in our questions right from today. Can send in our questions so that they will be read for him to be able to answer on Sunday. Thank you very much. Now he proceeded to the teachings for the day. Just as I began, the voice of God says we are supposed to be enjoying this moment. It's a season of blessing. Right after this Easter is a season of. However, some people are still stuck. Some people are not receiving their blessings simply because of they haven't done. Proceeded to talk about the mission of Christ, why Christ came on earth. Christ came on this earth. Man had swayed from the laws of God. Man had gone astray, had sinned against God, and as such was bedeviled with hardship, was bedeviled with tormentations, was bedeviled with troubles here and there. Man was faced with serious hardship because he sinned against God. Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, explained sin. Sin, when being brought into our local dialect, is known as bone, to perforate something. Perforate something. So imagine your cup has been perforated with holes. The cup becomes useless. That is how the condition that sin puts man in. It makes you useless. Sin makes you useless. You become of no use. A bucket with perforated holes can never be used again because you can't use it to fetch water to go and bath. It's either thrown away. However, let's remember that this bucket can be amended, can be mended. So that is the state of sin. And that is why Christ came on this earth. To be able to correct us, to be able to reform us. So the mission of Christ, once again, was to come and help us so that we will be liberated from the sin. Because sin puts man in a condition, in a state where man begins to have no hope again. Puts you in a serious state of trouble, hardship. You become of no use. Nobody wants to see you again. Nobody wants you again. That is the effect of sin. And this is why Christ came on this earth. So that we will become useful again. We will be saved again. Do not be deceived that you are a Christian. Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, admonished us that we shouldn't think that we are Christians. Last week I asked, do you think that you are a Christian? Are you a true believer? These were some of the pertinent questions that Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, asked. That we shouldn't deceive ourselves, proving to be Christians whilst we are not. Why did he say this? Because some of us, we claim to be Christians. However, we are still in our old ways. We are still in our old bad ways. We have just put on ourselves that name Christians, but we are still doing our old things. But Christ came, just as in the case of a tailor, to mend cloths which are torn. Sin has perforated holes in us. And Christ is here to recycle. Christ came to mend us, to make us proper, to make us useful. That is the mission of Christ on earth. So we shouldn't, as Christians, we shouldn't deceive ourselves. We shouldn't deceive ourselves that we are Christians. But we should first acknowledge your sin for Christ to have the need of you. To be a true believer, you need to first acknowledge your sins so that Christ will be able to mend you. If you don't send your torn cloth to the tailor can never know that your cloth is torn. So you have to first acknowledge the fact that your cloth is torn. So as we believers who want to be proper Christians, we need to acknowledge the fact that we need to acknowledge that we are sinners. And as such, there is no need for us again. So we have to cry unto Christ to mend us, to help us change from those old bad ways. We have a program that we use, we normally telecast on Second Chance TV, which is Beyond Medicine. Let's look at the state of people who are able to come on this program to share their testimonies. Let's look at the state that such people find themselves. Some of these people, I and you, can attest to the fact that these people have gotten to the point of death. Point of no hope, hopeless situations, cancerous sores, things that even doctors have declared that go home and die. Such is their condition. Such is their state. Such is exactly the condition that sin puts man into. As such people, if they are able, after all their efforts, after all that the efforts that they put in, if things don't work out for them, you see what they do at that dying point, at that dying need point, they call on Christ. And that is where Christ comes in. He shows his mercy unto us. That is the Adom. The grace comes upon people in such state. So if you prove to be a Christian and you want to be able to enjoy the grace of God, you should be able to acknowledge the fact that the situation that you are in, you need to be able to acknowledge the fact that where you have gotten to is a dying point. You are of no use. It is then that Christ was set in to bring you grace. Otherwise, it will be a fruitless effort. You'll be moving from hospital to hospitals. That is the state that sin puts man in. So those who come on Beyond Medicine, you see that they share their testimony. They have met Christ because in their dying need, they called on Christ and Christ came in to save them. So no matter your condition that you are going through, no matter the troubles that you are facing, Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, today wants to admonish you that acknowledge Christ. Move away from your old ways, the evil ways. Sin, it is sin which has sent you there. Move away from them, and Christ will certainly set in with his Adom, his grace, to liberate you. Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah proceeded to talk about his own his lifestyle. Way back in Nigeria, he wasn't fortunate to have had somebody to learn from. He didn't have any role model. No family member there to guide him. Nobody there to assist him. I recall in a story that he used to tell us that he used to walk around the street looking for coins to even buy a can of gari to eat, but there was none. He went through severe hardship, serious problems, and didn't have any solution. But what helped him? That was the time he experienced the power of grace. But how was he able to achieve the grace? He acknowledged Christ. He remembered the God who has been helping him all this while through his travel. The God who has been assisting him here and there, warning him here and there. So he sought to seek after God. He acknowledged that no, his efforts were being futile. All that he was trying to do weren't working out. He got to that state. And as such, his only salvation was to seek for Christ. So believer out there, brother out there, The only way that you can get out of your situation, the only way that you can be saved from that tormentation, that hardship that you are going through, is by seeking for Christ, seeking for God. And according to Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, he was guided by these two main ways that I'm about to tell you. He was rescued after acknowledging Christ. He was rescued. Christ set in after he did these two main things. One was he decided to serve God full time. To serve God full time. Do you serve God full time? Serving God full time doesn't mean come and stay in the temple every day or be a brother. No. You can do your own work but be serving God. Make sure that Sunday isn't the only day that you acknowledge Christ in your life. Make sure that every day, every blessed day is a day that you seek after Christ. You do what Christ is expecting of you. That by doing so, you have acknowledged to serve God full time. By doing that, you've acknowledged to serve God every day, full time, and not on part-time basis. And the second thing is to follow the 7 sentences said on the cross by Christ. Following the 7 sentences said by Christ on the cross. Observing these sentences, the rules given by Christ that every Christian is supposed to follow. If we are able to do this, my brother, I assure you, as Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah is using himself as a role model, he did the same and it worked out for him. And I assure you, if you are to also obey these things, it will work out for you no matter your predicament. Let's continue. You say today many Christians, we profess to be Christians, have been able to enjoy a testimony, but the testimony has ceased in our life. We are no more enjoying testimonies again. Why? Why? We keep on praying but have not been getting answers to our prayers. Why? Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah says, this is simply because most of us, we've decided to worship God on only Sundays. And for the rest of the days, it's for us. We do whatever we like. When it's Sunday or service time or Wednesdays or Fridays for service, we are clean. We are for God. But after these days, everything else, we do what we want. As such, your testimony will cease. The grace of God will not come to you again. Because you were able to enjoy the grace when you went into trouble. When you were faced with trouble, you called on God. You cried on God that, God, forgive me my sins. I will not go back again. And God had mercy on you. His mercies followed on you. He showed you his mercies. And the Adom set in, the grace set in to liberate you. After getting your redemption, you think that is all. You've neglected God and you are doing whatever you like. Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, says, I should tell you. He says, I should tell you again, that make sure you serve God full time and not on part-time basis. Make sure you devote yourself to the works of God, to the commands of God, full time, every day, every second. Ask yourself every day, whatever you do, ask yourself, does it please God? And by so doing, you are observing God full time. You are observing Christ full time. He gave his personal experiences as examples because he has set himself apart and is serving God full time. Serving God, always living a righteous life. As such, God has also been blessing the Philadelphia movement. Now let's see. We don't need to even go and evangelize before we get members. Look at the number of people who turn out after each 31st meeting. Look at the number of people after each evening service. On Wednesdays and Fridays, you keep on seeing different people, different people. Look at the number of people who turn out. These are all some of the grace that God is showing on him because he is serving God full time. I quite remember those days, he used to tell us that you over here, most of you will become ushers. And today it's true. Even old members don't get places to sit. They don't get places to sit. Today, a lot of people are coming. God is blessing Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah because he's been faithful to his promise. the attendance, the miracles which are ongoing, and the branches. Today, these things they are clear on the screens. They are clear. Philadelphia movement, they show these things. We see the number of branches which are popping up. We don't go there to evangelize. No. But these are all results of what? His total devotion to God, to serve God. From this, Stephen Kyei-Duah explained the 7 sentences said on the cross. Because of time, he was able to tackle the first 2. Let's look at the first one. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they have done. This was the word that Christ said, that Father, forgive them, for they know not what they have done. Are you able to forgive your neighbor when he goes wrong against you? Are you able to forgive others? No matter what, somebody will do something wrong against you. And in Twi, they say, it is those who are closer to you who will rather hurt you. You should be prepared for this and be willing to forgive them. That is what you are supposed to do as a Christian. To be able to observe Christ full time, you should be able to forgive others. Some of us, we do observe this. What about the other side? Those who don't sin against you, those who don't go against you, what do you do to them? Look at the way you trade in your shop. Has the customer done anything wrong against you? Has a customer spoken against you? But look at your dubious means you use to defraud them. Look at the means, the azar ways that you use to defraud people in your shop. It's up to us. Even that person hasn't done anything wrong against you, but look at the way you are treating them. Please, Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, is admonishing us to refrain. We should be able to forgive others and also think well of others. How do you think people will see you if you are able to forgive them their sins? When they fought against you, if you are able to forgive them, how do you think people will see you? If your personal relation with your own customers is very fine, you don't put so much profit margin on your product. Look at the number of customers that you'll be getting in your shop to buy from you. How will people see you? Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, is admonishing us. Let us refrain. Let us be able to forgive others. The next thing that Christ talked about as the second sentence being said on the cross was, today you shall take lead of me in paradise. That was what Christ told the thief who was with him. And this simply means that this can be compared to do unto others what you want others to do unto you. What do you want? Ask yourself that question. What do you want on this earth? Are you doing same to others? You want to own a car, but you are a driver. Look at the way you are treating your car owner. You want to have a kid, a child of your own, but look at the way you treat the children of others. Look at the way you treat people. You want to be respected, but look at the way you treat others. Respect is reciprocal. You can't be respected when you don't respect others. So do unto others as you want others to do unto you. Brethren, let us abide by these commands, and we will be blessed. Brethren, let us obey these commands. These are just the first 2. Let us live a decent life. Let us wish for good for others. Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, said, in so doing, today your brother has gotten the chance to succeed. Tomorrow, it will be your turn. Pray that your brother get the chance. The next chance will be for you. But if you don't want that, people will be undermining others. Especially we Ghanaians. As Stephen Kyei-Duah said, especially we Ghanaians. Men of God, when they see another man of God prospering, progressing, they begin to say all sorts of evil against him. But our mission is supposed to be one. Our mission is just one. But look at the way we lambast other men of God when we see progress in their life. We are rather to promote. We are rather to seek for the good of others so that Christ will extend his grace unto us. We will experience the power of Adam. And that is what Stephen Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, has done all this while. Throughout his life, this is what he has done. He's been doing, seeking the welfare of others. seeking for the welfare of others. People who are not even family members, this man and his wife takes care of these people. Pay school fees, feed people, clothe people. Ask the volunteers around him, they will tell you. Ask them, they will tell you. We have to learn from such a man. And God, by so doing, God is also blessing him. So if you want to be blessed, if you want to experience the power of Adam, God's grace, you are supposed to think well of others. Think positive of others. And Christ will in turn think positive about you. Now that my last submission is on a question that he gave to brothers. That brothers, remember where you came from. Remember where you came from, where you started, just as David hanged his cloth by the door. Remember where you came from and desist from that fraudulent acts, that proud nature. Brothers, let's be like our Papa. Let's learn from our father, Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah. Man might forget along the way, but please remember where you started from. And I believe that surely and surely God will lift you higher. God will bless you so much. To all Philadelphians, as I bring my message to an end, I pray that we will all be able to make it. We will all be able to observe these sentences said on the cross. According to Stephen Adom Kyei-Duah, the voice of God, he said he will continue on our next meeting. But for these first two brothers, brethren, beloved, let us all do well to observe this. 1, let us do everything to be able to forgive others. Those who haven't committed against us, don't let us think evil of them. What you want for yourself, that's the 2. Make sure you do likewise to others. And in so doing, Christ will also repay you. Thank you. Adumo. Bye-bye.